Hi, this is Pure Love Essence. Um, and for those who don't know me, Pure Love Essence is my living um, spiritual practice Um, brand name Pure Love Essence. Because because everything is central to the heart. You know, in everything I do and think and say. All right. In heart, Christ consciousness. Um, Attributes, ideal way, heart chakra. Okay, so Kuan Yin and such as Kuan Yin and other um, divine feminine and divine masculine consciousness. Okay, so um, and angel as well as me connecting to angels and everything like that. Okay, I also do a video blog about myself with my disabilities, overcoming acquired brain injury and overcoming and living with acquired brain injury, um, um, autism spectrum, which I prefer to describe as hypersensitivity, with the things that experiences hypersensitivity. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, so as well as I got other hidden disabilities that has not appeared in a medical world yet. Okay, but there you go. Okay, which I believe everybody has a disability, but you know, the truth is everybody's got disabilities, but there you go. Because it's a part of the human experience. Okay, so on this planet Earth. Okay, today I'm sharing my thoughts and messages and maybe affirmations. Um so it's Thursday. I'm gonna see my screen on my phone. Thursday the 26th of March. And it's time is 1943 because I got my 24-hour clock. So which is probably so yeah, PM in response housing, in my flat in response housing. So in my previous video I posted yesterday about overcoming my disability. I recorded and posted yesterday. I remember it was yesterday or day before my previous post this week. So I was debating if I not post what I wanted to do, but I thought, well, you know what? So after watching Still Melodious, oh by the way, on Netflix, and the fact that I had a miracle, that I had my disability paycheck came in, which I'm so glad because it's like because I didn't because I was just about to live overdraft, so that's great, and I didn't have to go to the food bank. Yay! Which, by the way, someone like me who's very empathic and who remembers the angelic realm, it's just like I'm not being awful, but having slight remembrance, not complete remembrance, just have a soul remembrance of like a different realm, right? So celestial realm, that pretty much. Um, yeah, and who can't deal with a lot of earth trauma, so well, hell trauma, I say. Well, um, you know, you know, but I do appreciate the times when I do go there. But I'm just so glad at the moment that I was able to afford to get to get basically. I got an extra rest day today, an extra rest day that was able to order some food. Literally was able to, when I mean, like, for me, with my got diverse restrictions, I can't exactly order food. I have to like order grocery. And but I'm so glad I'm rewarded for my intuition. Even though at times I feel like, oh shit, am I crazy for doing this? Because 2 years ago, well, it's coming up 2 years ago, right? I had to follow my intuition in moving out because no one else was doing. There was no justice anything in Oxford, UK, in Oxfordshire, UK, in the halfway house group home, whatever you call it, right? Some evil women called Joe and Karen. They were fucking evil, and which I recorded it in my birth name, which I don't. If you want to, if it's meant to see, you will find it, because I do hashtag disability UK, which there's not a lot of people in the UK that mention about their social injustice verbally like I do. I like really do, because I'll be honest with you, and they have a right to fear. I do, but at the same time, like, I felt the calling that I needed to speak out some things, as well as there is someone out in the universe that sees all and know all, and there is goodness in this world, because people like Joe and Karen, who part of the dark, who support people, who work with like people like Prince Andrew and stuff. And by the way, Oxford is where most of the royal family lives there, all social elite corrupt people, like, and it's more corrupt than London, basically, or just basically, I would say more corrupt than London, because in London there is people who there's groups of people that will fight, right? The everyday people that live there. Not much people will get away, but in Oxford, pretty much people are like, oh, this is the way it is. Church is just okay. That's just that thing. Like a girl that's got drugged up in um and then nobody else speaks up about it. Just like, okay, that's normal. Just that gets dragged in a club. It's not even a fancy club. It's just an everyday club. Or someone who's wheelchair in O2 gets discriminated, right? And it's not even the best, but let's say like you can't go in even though they had tickets saying you're not allowed it because you got wheelchair and they won't get refunded. And there's no one else to stick up the group of people saying, hey, stand up against that, right? There's no lawyers around. Even there's no student lawyers doing promotion for the everyday people, making it affordable for people to divorce, rape. You get what I'm saying? I'm just being for the everyday people, right? There's nothing. People just say, and people like Joe and Karen justify that if that believes in evil, and that the only way in life is to do evil. There's no such thing as good. They don't comprehend goodness in this world. And the only God that they believe is the devil. They're their God. Literally, that's their God. It's money and the devil. Literally, because they part of the Illuminati. They told me that because they thought they could get away, but they didn't know that I was chosen by God to overcome everything that fucking throws out of my face. Of course, I don't want to experience hell. I do not want that. All my life, all I wanted in the manifest in my life is to be loved, wanted, appreciated, and be successful. That's all I ever wanted. And that every good thing happens to me, and everybody good things happens to everybody around me. That's all I ever wanted in my life. But in the flip side, and in the days I just don't want to be here, I really, really don't, because it's just, there's too much evil, it's too much pain, you know. But I'm just so glad at the moment that my body is settled in, that I'm able to digest, that I haven't thrown up my supplements yet. I'm hoping everything stays, and every good thing in my body is, and yes, it's the food I have is not it's not organic. I'm not even, there's no such thing as organic, 100% organic, but we can make 100% organic pure food by just praying, manifesting, and giving thanks to the earth and the creator of the universe, and giving thanks to my divine mother, divine father, Holy Spirit, archangels, guides, the guardians of the galaxies that works the celestial good of all, celestial light, the celestial light of all. And that's what I do every day, even when I'm had enough and I just want to, and I express how I feel. I really do. Even the darkness, saying, "Look, I just had enough." I just really do. Yes, my apartment is still room full of rubbish. I didn't manage to actually exercise. I only probably just do a bit of stretching here and there. Would it be nice that that I had an exercise bike? I was watching and stuff. Yeah, great. That would be fucking great. Would it be fucking great to have options where I got a room, an exercise room, meditation, and I got a personal trainer? Excellent. I have money to go to a spa gym whenever I want. Fucking yeah. Having food body wax, having my divine partner, yeah, right. Having group of people who is my divine team and friends that support me and love me and always, today I decided to do a note on my phone in writing my dreams of April 26th. What do I want? Unlimited funds of what I wanted, and it was like anything I want as a for my inner child, like what will make me happy was like acting, being stage, directing, um, doing, learning, being, so I want to to learn these things, and get these skills, be paid unlimited funds, so I kept doing these things, if in and then when I did that on my digital note, which I put like gold because I wanted to put gold. I wanted to do an AI poster, but fortunately, I do not have the funds or the space to have AI app. So I just basically thought, well, use my creativity on my notes to, which would probably be better actually, because the fact that I needed to do my creative, because I haven't done anything creative for a while because I've been like depressed, like I didn't have much energy to do anything, and then it gets me upset that I just got tons of artwork and I'm not able to sell them. It's not being productive. And like turning into designs and art, it's just sitting there. Where it could be useful, producing things. You get my saying. That's that's what I want, really. People all over the world to go out their way to see my artwork and my spirituality practice and my wisdom, and the things that originally was my ancestors did. People would go out, in the inspiration and healing and wisdom and 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 their performance and art and talent. I just, I got full a box of tricks in my book. you know and I want to strengthen those talents and get paid for it. Get paid to go to festivals, get paid to perform, to 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 dress up and show up, you know, paid to with my spiritual wits, with wisdom and talents, paid to bless people's lives, because I'm touched by the gods, the angels, and the fairies, the blessed by the celestial light that's works with the celestial realm, really do, you know. So yeah, when I did that, I just like put rainbow thing, on my note, on my Samsung phone's notebook, and just like digital notebook, put a rainbow background highlight that I did using the highlight mark. It was just fun, you know. I have done notes before, but I of what are my hearts and pulling my hearts and desires and wishes, and then pray and bless that it happens. And if it doesn't, then I just like, well, okay, there's something bigger in the picture that I don't understand, right? But at least I put my hearts and desires, and I know that I'm worthy to serve those things, right? Another thing as well, I just worked today, my spiritual personal practice today, was that I kind of asked to, since I'm dealing with a lot of trauma from abuse and neglect from the system and from family members and all that, even though they're no longer in my existence, it's in my energy, and carrying that energy in my DNA. Even though I did a lovely um um from the Heart Healing Foundation 101 that I get from Dr. Marsha for free. She's lovely. Um, on Thursday. That, by the way, please support and fund the Heart Healing Foundation, because that is Dr. Marsha. She's amazing. She's on TikTok and YouTube. Go check her out. Heart Healing Foundation. She's also on Patreon. She's based in California. Her practice is based in California. So, but yeah, I decided to do it further when I woke up today, after I had a nice text from my key worker response saying, to come in and do their wellness checks, which I cannot deal with their bullshit for now, really can't. From those who don't know, who doesn't follow, basically what happened was, the last check I had was, I had an angry phone call report from social services, and which social services don't want nothing to do with me. They want me to be on the background, basically. So they're not actually involved, but they are, because the fact that they get paid. It's paid. Social services is part of Oxford Council, so they have to pay for someone to take care of me, but they're not exactly involved. You get my saying? So like, I'm invisible, hidden. So, and of course, response to, they're another corrupt society again. So, so I'm just like hidden, and I know I have to be worthy to be seen. So that's what I did. But anyway, I had this one positive thing, is that miracle is that he asks, and I'm just like, okay, this key worker, he asks, but I just text and I follow my intuition. My body just felt like, okay, just say no, like that I do not want him to come over and check my thing, because it brings me into emotional, physical distress thing, and brings me into shame. So after I did that, I just thought, well, okay, I'm gonna get my digital oracle cards, and I think one of the oracle cards is called my spirit guide. I can't remember exactly called because I said everything's on my phone, so I can't look up what it is. But basically, it said shame, and I'm thinking, okay, what's that about? And I thought, well, of course, because like all my life I was forced to live in shame for the fact that I can't do certain things for myself. Like the first memory was like what, and at the moment I am forced to live in shame. Shame the fact that I'm single, disabilities, which I actually found on YouTube about um a reality show about which I can't hate. I'm sorry, but I really hate this reality shows about people with certain disabilities, and they stereotype them and downplay and saying, "Oh, we understand." Like, thinking, no, you're not. You stereotype people, like force another person to be with disabled, another autistic person or something like that. And I thinking, no, we should stop doing that. We should be like, okay, we measure the person's soul, ability of understanding, um, how responsible are they in able to the life purpose, measure with their life abilities and life purposes and stuff like that. You know, I really, I really hate, but there was a message for me was that about the shame of my disability, and I have to admit I'm still working on it. I still hate myself about being disabled, particularly with the autism spectrum. That really bothers me a lot. Especially being pushed aside and isolated because um and it's or even people who has other people who's in the other autism spectrum, different or other disability people with other disability who has higher more visible are very cool to me. Okay, so like I don't really fit anybody anywhere really, if you get my say, but I'm just saying it's like so I'm still working on unconditional love for myself. I do try to remember doing I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you as much as I can. Um doing the tapping and doing the mirror, I love you and sorry, please forgive me and thank you, and Ho'oponopono practice and stuff, but as I said, these things, like with life, everything, you still have to keep progressing in life because everything's endless, progress. But I do know there's nothing wrong with me. It's the world that's been wrong, and distorted world that I live in, and but all I have to make sure that I treat myself the right way and attract the right people in the right places that do understand, and keep on working through the divine and asking the divine for all the things that I need, um, through the divine light of support that I need. So I just have to give them that. So my spiritual practice was basically, that I to ask myself forgiveness, and that I release that, and that I give thanks for acknowledging it, but I'm just, and the people are my enemies and those hurt me, and family members and society, government ones, whatever, forgive them because they don't know who they what they do, but because if they truly had goodness in their heart, if they really had a heart and understanding, they wouldn't do it, right? If they truly knew what they'd done, because they regret what they do, if they had a capacity, but some people are spiritual, even in the spiritual world, they're probably still complete darkness. Okay, just leave the darkness and just leave it with compassion, and the darkness don't want to stand for compassion, right? Just leave that, just bring in heart harmony and love. Of course, we don't tolerate darkness and evil and justice. We leave that alone, but I just release that. So just that's what I did really. So yeah. Um but as you know and I'm ready to have room for love, to be supported and understood for my vulnerabilities, that I'm being seen, understood and loved and accepted in this world for my vulnerabilities, you know, my vulnerabilities that of of not able to do everything all by myself, right? Like cleaning my apartment on a regular basis, um, not able to keep my fitness activities, okay? You know, have someone to be able to help me to keep on track on that, you get my saying, having to be supported, to have limited funds to fulfill my dreams, and having the the right people to support me and to make in making things successful for me to fulfill those dreams, and able to to seed in my and grow in my abilities that I have, and not longer being hidden and dormant anymore. My gifts, you know, they're not buried and live in shame anymore, because, as I said, that's something that's in my ancestor code. Or I think it's in everybody's ancestor code, whether you're rich or famous, or but or born royalty. By the way, we all got royalty. We all royal in some way. But I'm just saying, but I'm just saying, I mean, in materially, born in a royal family, whatever, whether it's, but status, born in royal status, right? But yeah, that we have lived in shame for so long. I've been programmed to live in shame. So I'm good. So yeah, so I just like basically said I'm not living in shame. And every time that shame comes, I'm gonna say, well, I love you, or sorry, and please forgive me and thank you, but I release this now. I welcome shame that it came to my life, but now I'm gonna let it go. And and that situation that brought me to live in shame would be removed, divinely removed. And I called my angels, I did, and my and angel guides and guardians of the universe, my divine mother, Jesus Christ, archangels, guardians, my divine father, all of them, even the fairies and dolls and pixies and stuff, because pixies got a good bring balance in life. Okay, not there's good and bad. There's good and bad angels. There's good and bad fairies and pixies, whatever. You know what I mean? Owls and the stuff. So, but anyway, but those who work in the celestial light. Okay, that's what I realm. So yeah, but yeah, but so yeah, just so so but so at least I have some miracles. I'm definitely looking forward to get my nails done. I haven't paid my bills yet. I have to remember to pay my bills. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. Do that tomorrow. But today I'm just gonna chill. Thursday is the new Friday. You get it? Thursday is the new Friday for most people. People used to say Friday, but it's not. Thursday is the new Friday. Particularly if someone like me, you know, it's pretty good. You know, So yeah, and I keep on saying to myself that all the things that I need comes in perfect timing when I need it the most, right? It's all coming in the right time for me, including able to have children, my own flesh and blood, same with my divine partner, and the perfect body, because I really do want a perfect body. You know, I'm not 100% loving my body, but you know, I'm just like saying that this, I'm doing the best I can with the body I have, and I'm going to try to love this body for now, but I'd like to be improve. Okay, that's what I'm doing. You know, I'm being kind with my eating as well. You know, even though I do feel bad sometimes with certain foods that I eat, but the thing is that I know I need that nourishment. You know, to enjoy food, to be able to enjoy my, you know, everything, but I'm still, and but I'm going to continue to look for perfection for my life, there's nothing wrong for looking for perfection in life, you know, and I can get it, have the perfect body, the perfect life, what's perfect for me, right? And that my teeth will be all fixed. because 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 I deserve to have heaven and earth right now, in having heaven and earth experience in this lifetime. It's my divine birthright. That's what I keep going on for myself. And also my spiritual practice today was also was that I gave thanks that I've been that that there's no one around to cause me harm or hurt in my life, and I'm looking forward to having immediate people that 100% support me in my life, right? So people who willing to part the waters for me, right? Literally willing to walk on fire and water for me, you know, willing to oh, make sure that I live in heaven and earth life for me and provide it for me, right? Truly love and protect me and support me and believe in me as well, and and willing to to go against this evil world, that corrupt, inverted world that we live in, and bring a better world, bring and build a new earth and life, right? For me and everybody else, as well as themselves, right? So, yeah. Even though at the moment it's just me, I don't have anybody in my life right now. I don't have any text message from anybody. You know, I don't have anybody close in my life, and I'm okay with that. Yes, it's painful. It's lonely. I'm 40 years old. I'm facing to be 41 this year. I mean, 41 in November 22nd, not November 22nd of 2026. I'd be 41, right? 41 is going to be the new 21. But hopefully, things be way better than my 21st birthday. Because my 21st birthday was fucking disappointed. I can't remember what it was. Probably has a fancy new ceramic hair straightener had. Honestly, I don't even hair straighten anymore. I just or blow dry. I just kind of just have the special towels I have, and sometimes I don't. I just basically just have this 100% spa towels or something, they have, and just like dry naturally. That's what I do these days. And plus, anyway, my hair's naturally straight these days. Literally, it's naturally wavy straight, like when I was born. Because I was born with silky hair, not really much curly hair. I think the curls started like later in um my late toddler years, so like 3 or 4 maybe. So, but my hair's like probably because from the oils in what I eat and when you get older, you're like, I don't know, but your hair becomes different. But anyway, so like my hair is naturally like wavy straight now, so like, and I do put oils in my hair a lot. Have all base, and I massage my scalp, get a massage brush, like. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's all I have to share right now. Is is that continuing is that is that to continue to observe miracles in life and celebrate the little joys, the moments of life, even celebrate the freedom of, even it's like being like myself at the moment. It's like celebrate the freedom that you've got the whole apartment for yourself. There's no one nagging or bothering you. There's no one that's hurting you or doing any form of hurt or abuse from you. Just no one. Just you know, and that you got the freedom to get the much needed rest that you need. You know, you celebrate the fact that you could just get the groceries straight to your door, right? Celebrate the fact that you can eat and drink your food. You know, I really, I'm glad that I'm not like most autistic people or bright brain people that is having tube fed. I'm so glad that did not happen in my life. I want to experience the best, and I'm glad that my that I'm still able to have other food groups I can eat and drink, right? Most of the time, you know, even though it's those things I celebrate, those victories, and celebrate that 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 Dr. Marsha, that she's amazing, and her miracles prayer group support me a lot. You know, those those little victories. And also last week I found someone. Even though I don't believe in her organized church group, but she was thinking for me, and 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 she remembers my my chosen name, Trinity, and said like, "Hey Trinity, I'm thinking you." And I said like, even though it was not exactly the miracle I wanted last week when I was walking to Oxford City, but at least you know that someone had the heart and love in thinking of me, and that they set a project, even though it's like I think it's in two in like 2 months time, right? At the end of 2 months time, right? In May. where there's a women's pop art thing, and I'm so glad that there is, because I wish that I did it on a regular basis, but it's gonna be like spa treatment, food, wellness, fitness, and and clothing's and bit of food, and hopefully they have something I can eat, because like as I said, I can't eat certain food, but yeah, those things, those little things. And that the obstacles in my life is destroying every day, every moment, every second, every breath. It's beyond time. It's been destroyed. That eventually one day I'm gonna wake up with no obstacles, be none. I have complete heaven and earth, physically and spiritually complete. So much so that I can help other people, because my life is so overflowing with abundance that I can overflow the world too. And that's what I want. But yeah. So that's all. This is Pure Love Essence. Bye for now. Pure Love Essence, Trinity. Um, my spirit, my chosen spiritual practice, chosen name, Trinity Light Divine. Bye for now.